All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me again. I apologize. This we were supposed to do this last week, but one of the things with that I found in recovery is sometimes you need to drop everything and be with family in their time of need. So I appreciate you guys. You guys may not have even remembered it was supposed to be last week, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to get back on schedule. So today we're going to go over confidentiality and Hipaa. I know this has been touched on in a couple other different trainings. There's a little bit more detail to go into today than we have with the other ones. But I mean, at this point, essentially, I hope everyone is pretty aware of confidentiality and Hipaa and things we can and can't do. So hopefully this will all just be, well, most of it will be a review for you guys. So we're going to go ahead, jump in. So today, our agenda is confidentiality first. The two pieces of literature that go along with this is 42 CFR and Hipaa. Real quick over that. Protected health information, what counts as protected health information. Privacy versus security. Sorry, I'm trying to pull something up real quick on my other computer. What the violations and different penalties that come along with the specific violations, and prevention techniques. So like I said, this is what we're going to go over. We're going to do this. We're going to have a couple corny dad jokes in there probably that hopefully you guys can get a kick out of. And not shake your head too much like my wife does with me all the time when I make these kinds of dumb jokes. But here we go. All right, so confidentiality. Now I got to move you guys back over. So this is one of the most basic rights that our clients have. And keeping information about patients confidential is, like you all know, a condition of your employment. So what we're concerned about with confidentiality is not only information leaving the facility in a way that it's not supposed to, without any kind of consents signed, but also how we transmit information throughout the facility. And we'll have a couple tips and things later on for that. All right. So what is covered in this confidentiality? A client's identity, and I know we've talked about this before, as far as what we can and cannot say if somebody comes to the building or if we're out and about. Physical or psychological condition, emotional status, their financial situation. Now, this one, as long as, because I know we, especially at Reprise, we have guys coming in, and Quantico, I would imagine you have the same. You have guys coming in without much, maybe little to no clothes and stuff like that. So you're reaching out to your networks and other facilities to say, hey, I have a guy that doesn't have a whole lot, and you guys have any clothes or anything like that. So just making sure that when we're talking about that, we're not relaying anything that can identify that person. Confidential business information and any other personal or private information. For any type of release of information, we need to have the person's authorization. I know Lindsay does a really good job at intakes getting any releases ROI signed that we may need, and then throughout the time that they're there. And I can't see that Lisa is doing anything different, because she, I know, is on top of her game. And I added this one in because this is a situation that I ran into at another a previous employer. I think I told you guys that we had the local newspaper came in to kind of do an article on the program, and in the background of one of the pictures that was posted was the full names of everyone at the different houses they were in. So just another reminder to make sure that we don't have anyone's full names posted anywhere in the facility. That's not only for outside visitors, but just for the, the guys trying that's us doing everything we can to keep the confidential information in-house as well. All right, so 42 CFR, we're not going to get into like line by line, and you're welcome for that because it may not be the most interesting thing, especially for somebody like Dana who's still up from her overnight shift. She might just zone right out if we were to go through line by line. But 42 CFR and Hipaa, they're both laws in place and they cover a lot of the same materials. So I'm just going to go over just kind of list what 42 CFR Part 2 covers. And you guys, as a little hint, may want to know one or two of these. Okay. So 42 CFR disclosures, written authorization, internal communication on a need to know basis. And you'll see that phrase again, need to know, later on. I'll just kind of go, I'll just pull them up and let you guys kind of read them. Medical emergencies, I think as we've discussed in some other ones, if EMS needs to come on site, 42 CFR and Hipaa both allow us to release certain information to them, so that way the client can get treated. Audits and evaluations. Any kind of criminal activity on program premises or against program personnel. And going back to that one, Dana, I heard you and David talking before we started about, you've been people have said worse to you, and David was very quick to say it. Pretty much, well, I'm summing it up, but nobody should be able to talk to anyone like that. So, we got to look out for each other. So any initial reports of child abuse or neglect, and any kind of court orders that relate to that, and any kind of research. So like I said, I'll give you guys a second just to kind of
Lisa,
store a couple of these in the back of your head.
they see me. I think they heard you.
Anybody that's not,
Please
please
and
go
then
on
if you
mute.
can't hear them, you can always send them an email, let them know that you were talking. Okay, thank you. Yeah, just send that and send to the rest. I took off them yesterday. But yeah, just sign where it says head of household in the back.
Kelly, can you please go on mute?
I got her, Steve.
And then she'll take a back, sign it, and send out the application to. Yeah.
All right. Questions, comments, concerns about 42 CFR? Thrilling stuff, I know. All right, Hipaa is probably the one that, at least for me, that I know that I've heard over and over and over again. It's pretty much been constantly drilled in my head. This was created national privacy and security standards for protection of patients and their information. I'm not going to read each one of these purposes to you, but I'll let you guys do that on your own. Define and limit circumstances, which we can disclose information. So these are the 5 different purposes. All right, Hipaa, and I found this cool little HIPAA compliant sticker thing that I just was like, hey, that'll look cool on this. All right, so who is affected by HIPAA? Covered entities, that includes our healthcare providers, any provider of medical or other health services, but also suppliers and anyone that transmits any health information in electronic form. Health plans, an individual or group that provides or pays the cost of health plans or health costs, healthcare, excuse me. Right. And healthcare clearinghouses, essentially that's any other entity that has access to records for one reason or another. Business associates, so if just any other partner organizations that anyone that has financial equity or any other type of tie into our particular organization, they are also need to abide by HIPAA. And patients. This one is hard sometimes for them to realize. Let me put it this way. I've seen guys sharing things on social media that like, oh, hey, I'm at this organization and me and my boys are, watching the football game, and then they tag all the guys that they're with. And it's like, maybe they didn't want them to want you to put that information out there. So this is maybe something that as you're having conversations, just reminding patients and clients that not everyone here wants their business out there. All right, so a quick moment to breathe, take in HIPAA, take in 42 CFR, and in the spirit of the mascots that we have at Reprise, here's some hamsters. So Reprise has 4 hamsters, if I'm correct. This is probably what some of us look like at the end of a long shift. Looking for that coffee. I just thought this one was great. Got to pose for the roller coaster rides. And Steve, this one's for you. You want to hear a cheese joke? Because it's great.
I love it.
I figured you would. All right, so before we move on, as we're looking at these adorable little creatures, has anyone ever been in any situations where HIPAA has come into question? Anyone that you want to kind of share with the group, kind of throw it out there and just kind of talk it through?
I had a challenge interaction yesterday that involved HIPAA, where I met with some members of our community, our neighbors of the facility, who asked a series of pointed questions that were attempting to reveal information about our clients, what kind of medication they took, what their employment status is, and other things. And it was, I believe it was challenging because it's in the moment. It's not something written, which is very easy to step back and take in. So I just wanted to share that I found that to be challenging and also, unfortunately, maybe unsatisfying for that conversation for the other parties when I could not reveal very much information at all and had to basically dismiss a lot of their questions.
Right. Thank you, Steve. And then, that's, especially I think from what I found as if you're newer in the area, you're going to have people trying to figure out as much and pry as much as they can. The one thing that I didn't really touch on with this, but maybe I know I've had some instances is when law enforcement comes to the door, Any of our techs or anyone else want to jump in and talk about a time that they've had to have that conversation with law enforcement coming to the door?
Yeah, when I was in Baltimore, working in Baltimore, this was years ago. Of course, they thought they could just come in without a warrant, and because it was a homeless shelter / treatment facility, they thought they could come in and just. I guess they really were under a misunderstanding. They was ran by the city and was ran by a 501c3, and that we weren't. And they got me out of bed, and that we weren't authorized. Don't even have to reveal anything to them or let them on the premises, simply because it was also a treatment facility, and that we were protected by Hipaa, and so were the clients. And they were Baltimore City police officers, so they're pretty ticked off and irritated. But they understood, and they went on about their business.
Yeah, thank you, David. That's I've had working at a couple different areas in Hagerstown, in a couple different places. It's funny to me, like how different responding officers can be from the same unit. Because I've had some guys that were just like, "Hey, I completely understand. I figured that was the answer, but I had to document that I was here." And then I've had other ones that were not happy, and we're asking to go above my head. And even when I ran, when I was the DOO at one of the places in there, they were like, "Well, I'm going to need the contact information for your boss then." So, just putting that out there, as you never know what you're going to get coming to that door. So, just remembering to be prepared, be a professional, and just representing the best that you can for us, while you're also making sure that we're protecting the client information. So thank you for that, Dave.
But in dealing with 3.1s, especially on what I've noticed in the past couple of years on the Eastern Shore, the difficult thing that I had running with Hipaa is dealing with, because the 3.1s, especially in Wacomico County, are community-based, is dealing with people dropping off, either family members dropping off clients or picking up clients, and folks just, not meaning any bad harm, but just think they can just walk up to the facility and knock on the door and walk, and it's, we're just not one of those types. And so just to find that professional, easygoing ground, saying, "Hey, this is, you can't come this far," or even telling the client, "Your mom can't come up to see where you sleep. I'm sorry," and sometimes it leads to hard feelings, even after the situation has been explained from a legal standpoint.
Excellent point. I know that I've been in situations where, a family member may be driving from 2.5 hours away, and the client never informed the counselor or anyone else that this person was coming, and they didn't really know what they were driving into. So it has the potential to become a pretty big ordeal. So, Reprise, you guys are awfully quiet today. I think they're mesmerized by the hamsters. All right, jumping into the next topic, protected health information. This is any individually identifiable health information. There's a lot of I's in there, so I apologize for this, the stuttering. Got tongue twisted. And this is any information maintained in any form or medium, whether we're having discussions amongst ourselves, whether we're keeping paper or electronic records. This kind of pretty much sums it up. Any information ever created or received, anything related to past, present, or future health past aspects of a client. whether we can't talk to clients about where this person's going for aftercare treatment, or where that person's going for aftercare treatment. We got to make sure that we're just minding our P's and Q's with that. And for this one doesn't really pertain to us a whole lot, but any kind of payment information that we ever get from clients, we got to make sure that that stuff is all safely secured. And this also includes, I didn't specify, but medications, being aware, as if we're giving the clients the medication book to flip to their name, keeping an eye out to make sure they're not looking at other people's stuff, because not everyone wants everyone to know what kind of medications they're on. So how can we kind of manage that? One company policy is you're given access on a need to know basis. So, techs, you're going to have different, may not have as much access to information or the same information that the clinical team has, and Steve may have different information. So, it's really kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Departmental.
There we go. Thank you, Steve. I knew it started with a C. Compartmentalizing, because that way you just never know. So it's kind of it just makes it easier to know who's got what information, access to what information. Because I've unfortunately I've seen that go sideways too. And we're never to access any information without the consent of the client. We can't just go digging around just because we want to know something about them, which I have seen happen where a tech had access maybe that they shouldn't have, and was bringing up things to the client in individual conversations that tech never should have known, and it caused a little bit of a stir. Questions about any kind of PHI record keeping? All right, privacy versus security. Privacy, the rights of a client to have their information safe, and security is how we protect their information from accidental or intentional disclosure, alteration, destruction, or loss. So there's two rules. There's a privacy rule and then a security rule. I'm just going to let you guys read the privacy rule. And if for some reason you can't see anything on the screen, let me know and I can read those out. But never like to be one of those people that read every single line of every single slide. Exception to the privacy rule, we already talked about medical emergencies. Second is any kind of communicable disease information to the health department. COVID really opened my eyes to this one. Because, and Steve, you may be able to elaborate on any experiences you have with it, but with the inpatient facility I was at, if somebody in there got COVID, we were every day, we had to take the temperatures of every client twice a day, and we had to send all their first name, last name, and other information to the health department for their tracking purposes. Prior to COVID, this had never been an issue for me. Another exception is any kind of abuse. And for litigation. All right, and here's our security rule. You guys can read that. Two terms that you often hear with this is consent and authorization. Authorization I put in parentheses signature, because generally that when somebody signs something, that's given their consent and authorization. Questions or anything when it comes to anything public health information or excuse me, public health information, privacy, security? No, not so much. Lovely. All right, another deep breath while I get a drink of water. There you go, Steve. Eating clocks is time consuming.
Bravo.
But
It's one of the best ones I've seen in a long time.
well, if you're ever having a bad day, just imagine a T-Rex trying to make a bed. But I don't know about you guys, but I am solution focused. So there we go. T-Rex is unstoppable.
What is a Tyrannosaurus Rex's day job?
Let's hear it.
Small arms dealer. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Oh, Joe's giving you a thumbs down. David is laughing so hard. See Kelly smirking too. I think overall that was a hit. All right, we're coming into the last couple slides, guys. So violations and penalties. There's three different kinds of violations. Once again, I'm not going to read these all the way to you. There's an unknown violation. You didn't know what you were doing was wrong, essentially. Reasonable cause. This one's kind of wordy. I'll let you guys read that. You had a reason to do something and you went with it. And then willful neglect is just, I knew what I was doing was wrong, but I went ahead and did it anyway. And so here are the kinds of different penalties. You guys don't need to memorize this per se. I wouldn't expect you to, but just to kind of give you an idea, there's penalties ranging from $100 to $1.5 million, depending on the severity of it, and how many times it continues to happen. So let's not do it. Nobody wants to be paying out of pocket or have the company pay for anything if we know if we can help it. Questions or any situations that you guys have been in that maybe you want to put out there for discussion to say, could I have done this? Should I have done this? Should I not have done this? Anything like that when it comes to this? All right. All right, so probably the most important part, well, I wouldn't say the most important, but this is a significant steps that we can take to try to limit anything getting out. So this goes back to that very at the beginning, not only what leaves the facility, but what's inside, what we say and do inside the facility. So we never want to discuss this information where others can hear. And I know, like for Quantico, that can be difficult because it's such tight spaces down there. Sometimes you just need to go outside and have a conversation, or put 3 noisemakers outside instead of just one. but always just being mindful of, and I think this can happen most frequently in something that occurs daily, like shift handoffs. Because we should be having those 3 times a day, so just being aware of when we're doing that shift handoff, who's around, who may be, right outside the door waiting on medications or something like that. So you're obligated to keep stuff private, and to report that, and I forgot the word report now that I look at this, report that to Steve or Georgia if you're at Quantico, or Jen if you're down at Reprise. I know we've definitely used this phrase before: your responsibility does not end on your shift. I'm sorry, that information is confidential. I can't confirm nor deny whether that person is here or anything like that. That hopefully a phrase similar to that is ingrained into your brain. As when I was working tech duty at the Wales House, that was one of the very first things they said is, if they don't work here or they're not a client here, that's what you say. This one baffles me, but I know it's happened, is copying information, client information for somebody that's not job related, or watching somebody else do it. Keeping this information in a safe location. I know a lot of our records are, electronic, but we do have, some other, like the medication logs and stuff like that. That's all handwritten. So we're making sure that maybe when we're done the month, we're putting that somewhere safe. We're keeping all that stuff locked away. And this last one was one of the harder habits for some reason for me to get into, because if I was walking away from my computer for 30 seconds, I didn't want to have to log back in. But especially on a shared computer or a computer in a common area, always log it off or lock in the computer screen. And this, I think, knowing the Quantico facility, doing this when a client's coming in for medication. Because it's a tiny space, and every facility that I've ever worked at or been a part of, clients are lookers. They will look around, they'll look at the angles of the cameras, they'll get any information they can for whatever reason they want to do that. But and it's like I said, it's very tempting, like at Quantico, for somebody to come up to the door, say, hey, I need my afternoon meds, and you leave your email up or something like that, and while you're getting out whatever you need to, they're eye hustling. It's just the nature of the business. So always making sure that you're keeping that stuff secure. This is your typical wrap-up slide. You guys can probably write this out of memory by now. Questions or comments about HIPAA, confidentiality, anything like that? Shoot me an email by the end of the day to verify you were here. I'll send you 3 questions and hit me back with those answers within 24 hours of getting them. Now, just kind of as planning down the line, we are pretty, there's a certain amount of these trainings that we need to do every year. I've been kind of cramming them in over the last 6 months or so because we're newer facilities. I think we have 2 more, maybe 3 more we need to get done for this, to say that we to get them all in. And then we'll probably be able to move to once a month from here, depending on, any kind of feedback. 'Cause I know is it Reprise is still waiting on some stuff from CARF, so they may have some recommendations as to trainings to tweak or anything like that. So hopefully by April, we're looking at only one a month, because we will have gotten through all of them. So be on the lookout in March for the Adults with Disabilities Act. That was supposed to be the next one, but based off of some CARF recommendations, we jumped into Hipaa this time. So we have Americans with Disabilities Act and infection control coming up. And my phone is a buzzing, which means people are emailing me right now to say that they were here, and I appreciate the prompt responses. Any burning desires to share? All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for taking 38 minutes to join us, except for one particular person that joined, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes ago. And I'm not going to call her out or him out.
John, stop.
She was working. She sent me a text. She was doing a job related assignment. So, all right, guys, thank you all very much. You all have a good one, and I'll see you later.
Great job, John. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye, guys.